What up, my fellow NBA lovers? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and this will be my NBA Moments Pivoted Volume 6. And this time it will be starring some of the best backcourts of all time. And that is a duo of Isiah Thomas along with Joe Dumars, and a duo of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. Now, the important thing here with these two guys, before I get to this segment, they ushered in a new era of just possibilities of backcourt duos. That is the run and gun style. Believe it or not, Isiah Thomas and Joe Dumars back in the mid-1980s kind of introduced that style in a big man's era. And Isiah Thomas, had it not been for that injury that he had in Game 6 in the 1988 NBA Finals, they could have three-peated in between the eras of Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. Once again, Isiah Thomas is only 6'1", Joe Dumars 6'3", and these guys were nice two-way players in the run and gun style. As we've seen currently with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, they have similar traits. Klay Thompson has made the All-NBA defensive team in 2019, and Stephen Curry in 2016 led the league in steals. Now on the other side, Joe Dumars is a four-time All-Defensive player and also the 1989 Finals MVP. Isiah Thomas is also the 1990s Final MVP, and he's made the first All-NBA team 3 times. Now these guys are gonna sit back and reflect on their careers and some of the similarities that they have. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Throwback games or whatever, go on YouTube and look at them. Like, you wouldn't even know who you two were on the court, and you just watch. And you guys, the way you stand out in terms of like, when you get the ball, how fast you can move, get it from point A to point B. You know, the decisiveness coming off the screen, knowing just that chemistry you could tell, especially when y'all were chasing championships. Like, it just pops off the screen, the confidence that y'all had in each other, and like the true chemistry and teamwork. You know, and everybody knew their role. Everybody knew, you know, on a nightly basis when y'all were all locked in, y'all couldn't be messed with. Like,
isn't that the same thing with the Warriors? Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, they know their roles, they know where guys are going to be, they're running those plays. And as you can see, very similar to Joe Dumars and Isiah Thomas. And these guys are pretty much the pioneers, Isiah Thomas and Joe Dumars.
Just appreciation for when y'all are at the height of your powers.
Here's Isiah. Let's see what we got. All the way up. Go!
Isiah Thomas, man, is an all-time guard. I mean, just like Stephen Curry, his handles was crazy. He kept the ball low to the ground, and then when he attacked the hoop, he was a good finisher, just like Stephen Curry.
Here's what I say about these guys that I like, and you don't always see this now. They never cheat the game.
No. Every night they give a performance.
They give it to you every night.
Yes.
And you don't see that with everybody.
Yes.
And that's the toughest part for me. When I see someone that, like, look, just give it to me every night. And you can go 4 for 18. It doesn't matter.
Keep shooting. Right? The next one
going. It doesn't matter. As long as you know what I'm saying? But you guys show up every night. And I always say that about them. I say, they don't cheat the game.
Especially in that 2016 season, after the Warriors won that first championship, that 70 win game season that they had. A lot of teams were coming for them, and they were giving them their best because they didn't want these two guys, especially the fact that these two guys are babyface, to actually win all those damn games. So they were playing teams at their best. So they pretty much, Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, they've been through the gauntlet.
Every night they go out there, they're trying to get it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're trying to get it every night, I'm cool with that. I am cool with that.
And then they give the fans a show.
Oh, man.
You know,
absolutely.
That's how we felt.
Absolutely.
Like we would come into somebody else's town.
Oh, man.
It's like the stands were full, and you feel like you just got to perform. And most teams don't feel that way.
Right.
When y'all were at y'all's peak, obviously in the runs, late 80s, early 90s, was the road atmosphere. It was always heightened, right? Every night, there was no dead arenas. I think probably around the first championship run in 2015, we started to notice every time we came out, our fans would show up on the road, and even the opposing fans would kind of be looking for that entertainment, that show that we put on. But yeah, and we get everybody's best shot. We still do, and that's what that's the position you love to be in.
Yeah, there it goes. They're getting everybody's best shot, all right. Especially after Curry won the unanimous MVP, a lot of stars, not even just a regular player, a lot of the stars were going at these guys. They were really jealous about that.
Like, and everybody circles you on the calendar and whatnot.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, you can't just show up. You gotta bring it, or you can get beat. So it's a good position to be in. We want to keep it going as long as we can.
Does it make y'all mad sometimes though? Like It's like, hey man, why do you play like this against everybody?
We got a rule, like, you know, coaches always probably give you like the stats of the guys, like the last 5 games, like their shooting percentages or how they're playing. You might as well throw all those stats out, because when they show up, you know, a guy could be shooting 13% from 3. He gonna make 5 of them that night just because it's us in the building. But
certain people you play against too, that's true to it. That's what I would do when we get ready to play Chicago.
Right.
Well, you know, Joe, the last 5 games he did, I said, that has nothing to do with what's going to happen tomorrow night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a pattern. You know, he just did that. Like, you know, so some things you just got to throw out the window.
You know, it's interesting that Joe Dumars had brought that up about Chicago, them just playing at their best against Detroit. Chicago was basically looking up to Detroit in the mid-'80s. That's why Michael Jordan wanted Isiah Thomas to shake his hand so bad after he beat him. They looked up to that team. They knew that once they got over that team, they can go up to the next level. And when Isiah Thomas in The Last Dance documentary said that he never really looked up to Jordan as like an adversary, he's right, because he was sort of ahead of him. But once Jordan got past Isiah Thomas, he pretty much never looked back.
I get it.
Sometimes we would hear his last 5 games, and I'd be like, Chuck, we don't know.
Yeah.
The last 5 games, he had 50, 60. Hey, Chuck, we don't need to know that.
And also, let me say this about Detroit. They also played and got the best out of NBA teams that they were playing against during their days, because that Detroit Pistons team was very hated around the league. They were considered, you know, they played dirty, but at the same time, they did play in modern style of basketball.
I get it.
How long did it take you to really get the chemistry right? Like, to know where Joe wanted the ball, where Isiah was said he wanted?
Little things you pick up. I've been wanting to ask you guys this for a while. Little things you pick up playing with someone else that you don't have to say anything. It can be a look. We had plays where I'm on the baseline and I'm getting a pin down and I'm getting ready to come off. And if I saw the guy overplaying me, I would look at him up top. He's at the top of the key, and I would just look at him, and he knew, okay, he's gonna go back door. I set this guy up.
And throw it back to me so hard. I mean, really, as soon as I throw it to him, it was like, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Hey, run that play. Let's start over. Right?
Absolutely.
that's funny.
Man, it's good stuff.
How do you navigate in the locker room and have conflict resolution? Because, you know, the big thing now is, you know, okay, Draymond and Durant got into an argument at the end of the game. Literally. Every day, every game, that was us. Not just that one moment. That was every single day. And for us, you know, we had Rodman, sometimes Lambeer, who really brought that type of intensity, energy, passion.
You know what I call it? Constructive conflict.
Yeah.
Damn, that sounds like Draymond Green right there. Constructive conflict. You know, it's interesting that they're doing this sit down right now, particularly Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry, even before they retire. But best believe, after they retire, the stories between 2016 all the way to 2019 that we're going to hear about when Durant was around, I can imagine what was going on behind the scenes. Because keep in mind, Steve Kerr had mentioned after they went back-to-back, when they won that championship, that it was a tough season for them. But yet they dominated the whole league. But yet he said it was very hard for them to get there. I'm pretty sure he was talking about behind the scenes.
Constructive in this conflict.
How do y'all handle that, you know, dealing with the outside media and then in your locker room?
To be honest, as long as every teammate can look each other in the eye and know where you're coming from and know kind of what's on your mind, we'll be fine. There's just so much, you know, noise and nonsense, which is good for the entertainment of the league, but in terms of us just staying true about what we're trying to do, it happens inside the locker room, it happens on a daily, and it comes from experience and a history of knowing, you know, each other. We know each other's personalities, we know where we're coming from, and we just gotta maintain that as best we can. Like some games are a little bit more physical than others in terms of literally just the rules and how the game is allowed to be played. Part of me just wants to like get thrown into that just to see how you respond, because it's like you see it, but you don't know how you.
Y'all be all right.
I always say that.
Y'all be all right. We feel like our time we'd be able to figure it out.
Exactly.
Throwing back in that.
You be all right.
See, the reason why Isiah Thomas is saying you be all right, because keep in mind, Isiah Thomas is considered small. He's 6'1", And he played in a big man's era, especially where the league had a lot of guys that weren't as skilled. They were just, you know, guys that were really athletic and they lifted a lot of weights. So, but yet Isiah Thomas was still able to dominate in that era. That's the reason why he gave Curry the vote of confidence, like, you'll be all right in my era. Because number one, Curry's a little bit taller than Isiah Thomas, and he's just as skilled when it comes to the dribbling and the shooting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. You can shut down all that talk down.
There's actually a funny clip that we'd always bring up to my dad, me and my brothers, of when he came down with the offensive board and you guys were losing to him and you hit him on the back of the head a couple times and he just walked away. He didn't do anything.
Thompson with the rebound.
Is Isiah Thomas playing freaking bungalow drums, man? What's going on over there, man? This is why a lot of the league did not like the Pistons, and that's why they got the absolute best out of every team that they played against, because a little petty bullshit that they used to do like this.
Isiah commits the foul.
I was hoping you weren't going to
Stand up for yourself. He's like, nah, I ain't feel nothing. I was
hoping you wasn't going to mention that.
we gave him flack for that since we were like 12 years old. Dad, just not gonna stand up for something? He's like, nah, I didn't feel nothing. It felt like a massage. I was okay. Okay,
That's funny.
Hey, man, as you can see, a lot of times I lost my mind.
yeah, it happens.
I'm fortunate that the big guys during that period of time, now that I see them now, I'm glad they looked at me with compassion and just looked at me like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, you know, because really they just could have been like, boom, you know, and my life would have been over.
What are you facing on a nightly basis?
We were talking about it today. It's actually like from year to year since we started winning the championship. There's certain patterns you see that teams try to figure us out and make us think a little
Different
bit.
teams or everybody?
Everybody.
Oh, okay.
You talk about the make or miss league. It's a copycat league too, in terms of like you see film of something working for one game, everybody wants to copy it and try it.
Right.
Exactly, and the league started catching up to the Golden State Warriors around 2017, 2018. But yet, around that time, the Golden State Warriors are still pretty much doing their thing. And if you even look back in 2019, the Warriors just pretty much perfected their skill sets. I mean, you could even look at when Kevin Durant went down in that Western Conference Finals, when it was just only Curry and Thompson going up against Dame and CJ, and they pretty much dominated them, pretty much sweeping them and going on to the finals.
You obviously have different, rosters and lineups that you can work with, but from like 15, we had a certain defense that they would try to trap me, but we'd have Draymond in the middle and he'd be able to look for shooters, and we have Klay running off the pin downs and stuff like that. Last year was different with KD on our team and how teams defended us, and even this year, like, it just changes from year to year. It takes a while to see it clearly, the picture kind of form, but again, putting the ball in the basket, that's what we know how to do, and we figure it out.
Well, how y'all think we would do in y'all era?
As I said, y'all would be just fine. How you can just slice up the defense, get wherever you want to go.
Ooh, IT, man, I'm telling you, you guys need to look this up. This is not my era, but Jesus, just looking at the highlights of this guy when I went back, IT, man, his dribbling skills are insane, and he kept the ball low to the ground, so it was very hard to just get turnovers off this guy.
So you got touch, you can shoot, you can get to the basket, you can finish with the best of them.
Yeah.
You'd be able to take most guards to the post, to the block, do your thing. Obviously, knock down the jumper with the spacing on the floor. I don't think I need to tell y'all that.
I look at the two different eras, and then I try to look at different players, right? Just as you do. And I think from a guard playing standpoint, all of us would be okay in whatever era we played in. I think the bigs, some bigs wouldn't be able to play in y'all era. They just...
Exactly. The NBA now is a very skilled game. A lot of those enforcers, the Charles Oakleys, the Masons, a lot of those guys would have been struggling to stay in the league because they weren't as skilled, but they were just scrappy. In the NBA, once again, IT and Dumars, they were two little guys that played in a big man's era, but yet they were able to play at the highest levels of the league. Once again, like I said, they almost three-peated between 1988 and 1990. If it wasn't for Isiah Thomas getting injured in that Game 6, and even though he did get hurt being a little man on that ankle in Game 6, he was still able to have a legendary performance on that ankle, scoring 43 points and getting 8 assists. So that shows you how skilled these guys are.
I mean, we're talking about Hall of Fame players, like they in this positionless league, right? How would they play? What would they do? You know?
Yeah, no, it would definitely be different. I think for you and I, like, there are a lot of nights that if he starts off hot, he would say to me, I need you to slide to the one. I'm cooking. So I'd go to the one. I'd run the point, and he's coming off, and I'm just running stuff for him.
If I could have came off and caught it, and then looked under the basket, and wasn't nobody in the lane. It's like every time we came off and caught it, you look down there, it's six people, yes. But if I'd have came off and caught it and ain't nobody down there, I'd have been leading the league in field goal percentage because I may not have been shooting 3, but damn, I'm gonna get that layup. You know. The other thing I look at y'all team, and you say y'all watch some of our games. I look at the league now and I say, a lot of the small ball, that's how we played. We were actually criticized a lot for playing the way you guys play because we didn't have a post player. We played high screen and roll, side screen and roll.
Everything was pick and pop.
And Lambeer was a 3-point shooting center. And to see you guys playing this way now, it just gives me great pleasure to see that the way we played, we were right.
Isn't that amazing that they play like that since the mid-'80s, but yet when the Golden State Warriors started playing like that, it's almost like the media tried to give the Warriors the credit of starting that. Once again, that's how much the NBA just back then did not want the Pistons to be one of the top teams in the league. They just overall didn't like that bad boy image. But on the court, the Pistons were legendary. Just some of the things they were doing outside of, you know, just those dirty plays.
Because there was a time when we were playing and they said a small backcourt like us could never win the championship. We could never play. You had to have the big guys, so forth and so on.
And I'm pretty sure they said the same thing for the Warriors. A non-athletic backcourt, like at the time as it was perceived, Curry and Thompson, they couldn't really go up to the next level.
And Lambeer was heavily criticized, remember? For shooting a 3-point shot. You know, and to see y'all doing it at an even higher level.
It's the ultimate respect when you're doing something great and it's different. People are uncomfortable with it. And they're like, all right, we gotta find something, trying to poke holes in it and whatnot. Small ball can't win a championship or whatever. For us, it was jump shooting teams can't win a championship.
Yeah, and they were really considered jump shooters because once again, Curry and Thompson, they're not really guys that are jumping out the gym. They're not doing 360 windmills. They're not the fastest guys. They're not the most athletic guys, but yet their skill sets and just understanding their roles, these guys were killing it.
I heard that plenty of times from one person in particular. But in terms of like, just doing it the way that you know how to do it. You work on it. It's not something you just throw out there. You obviously have intentions and perspective of how you're gonna be great at it. And you're just comfortable with who you are. Just play. And that's what's been our secret sauce, though. I know you heard it too. It's like, all right, bet. Jump shooting team will win this championship.
And with Curry, let me say this about him. Curry has worked on his game. He did not come into the league doing what he's doing. He's actually worked on his craft, and you can see the improvement every year. This guy, he just doesn't get enough credit because what he's doing on the court is high. His eye-hand coordination, his dribbling, his finish with the left hand and right hand when he takes the ball to the cup, that is seriously need to get some strong consideration for his self-improvement. That is A+.
Watching LeBron and just seeing what LeBron has done in this era. I know how we felt playing against Jordan. Like Jordan was the most dominant player in our era, and we would talk for hours on the phone watching him play against another team, you know, just admiring him play. But at the same time, it was like there were things that he did in the air that we just couldn't do. And I look at LeBron James in this era, and I say he's doing things that, you know, y'all just can't do. How do y'all feel about LeBron? And then we can talk about how we felt about Jordan.
When you look back at that 2016 finals, LeBron just went to another level that physically and athletically these guys just couldn't get to. But the Golden State Warriors did have an ace in their pocket, but unfortunately it kind of folded because Draymond Green couldn't keep his act together. and that suspension really ended up costing them the finals.
I'd say in terms of one guy being able to change the course of a game the way he can, he controls the pace. He does things that you kind of look like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter sometimes how great a defense you play on him. His sheer strength and power to get to the basket. He's obviously developed that outside game that keeps you honest. It's something that you need all antennas up, all 5 guys every night, and if you don't bring it, he's liable to try to expose you. So in terms of that first championship run, matching up with him, and some of the stuff that he did on a nightly basis, it was spectacular. But at the end of the day, like, that gives you even more kind of competitiveness and fire to try to figure out how to overcome it and still win.
Yeah, LeBron is almost like a basketball wizard. I mean, any way to adapt and change, it's almost like he's like a Terminator when it comes to the court. Like, he's just examining things, he's calculating. He is a basketball, like, he has a genius basketball mind. But at the end of the day, Stephen Curry, let's give him his credit. He changed the game. Guys were not pulling up from half court like that. Those shots were considered horrible shots. He's completely changed the game. Now that guys are just pulling up from anywhere, people don't really criticize those guys as much. Like, oh, he took a horrible shot. That's how much Stephen Curry's game has impacted the overall NBA landscape. He even got LeBron James pulling up from certain areas he normally would never do, especially when you look back earlier in his career.
And it gives you a little bit more gratifying feeling when you do, too, so.
When we mentioned Jordan, did you notice his body language?
He's still on alert. He's still on alert, like he's sitting in the film room.
Yo, IT, man, going in. But like I said, man, Dumars, he had to guard Jordan. Dumars is a hell of a defender, too, but Jordan's like a little bit smaller version of LeBron, just at the shooting guard. Just Jesus, this guy is almost like he was walking in the air. The way he was twisting and turning his body, it's like, how the hell are you supposed to defend that?
That's it.
It's the one game that, ironically, this may sound a little bit odd, but it's probably more than any other game. That's the game I look forward to the most. Because you knew that night you had to be at your absolute best. And so if there's something, anything, a matchup or whatever, that's going to bring out the best in you, if you're a true competitor, that's what you really want. And so for me, it was the one game I look forward to more than any other game to play against him, because he was everything that you just described with LeBron. I was listening to you. Yeah. That's about the way it is.
Yeah, with Joe Dumars and Klay Thompson, they have the responsibility of guarding the best kind of perimeter players on the other opposing team every single night. And yet on the offensive end, they're still expected to put out the same output as they did defensively, which is a huge responsibility.
Any slip up, any lull, any mistake that's made, you're gonna exploit it. You're gonna take advantage of it. So you had to be so keenly locked in, game plan, here's what we're doing, here's where I need to be. And you would be furious if somebody didn't rotate they were supposed to, because you knew, look, I'm trusting that you're gonna be there. And so, because if you're not there, dude's about to do some, he's about to do something, real freaky here. And so, right? He's about to get real freaky here. And I don't need this right now. So I understand exactly what you guys are saying.
We used to go back and talk after you be playing, and you actually think that we've done a good job, and then you look up at the scoreboard.
That's the best way to explain it right
and
there.
the dude got like 39 or 40, and you're like, damn, I thought we was doing all right. And then you get on the bus and you're talking it, and I remember saying this to you. I was like, I feel like sometimes he treating us like we in high school. Because he was that much bigger and just, much more athletic than we were. And, do you feel like a strength difference? Because we talk about it a lot on television when we say, oh, he's so much bigger and stronger. but I don't know what it's like to feel it. Can you like describe?
Oh, you can feel it, especially on the block in transition. You're just in awe of, like, I've never seen such a big human move so lightly on his feet. Like, his steps are small, but they're so quick. You know, it's incredible. I remember one time in the finals, I got the ball on a break, and Andre was behind me, Iguodala, and LeBron was chasing me. He said, "You better dunk it, you better dunk it." So I went up to flush it, and I almost killed myself because I was nervous LeBron was gonna come by and just.
He was yelling that as you were dribbling?
Andre was he said, "You better dunk it," because he was coming full speed. So I almost, the landing wasn't pretty. So I made sure I flushed that thing because I wasn't trying to see that ball go to half court.
Yeah, once again, LeBron James, he's the size of Karl Malone. Just, this guy should be a power forward. But yet the way he moves like a speedy guard. It's just unbelievable. But once again, with that last highlight, as you've seen Klay Thompson just landing awkwardly on that dunk, it brings me back to my initial point earlier in the segment here, is that these guys are not really considered the most athletic guys. So doing what they're doing, just a combination of their skills and just knowing their roles, they're really performing on a high level here.
So that's just kind of the presence he has in the court. You know where he's at all the time. He's great at playing free safety, kind of like Jordan was, and you're just in awe of the things he can do in the air. I mean, like you said, me and Steph could never do these things, no matter how much we work on our vert, how many squats we do. We'll never be able to jump 40 inches and alter our body like that. We got to get it fundamentally. We got to get it with skill, but those dudes blend it with skill and just sheer power. There's no nights off, and that's draining. And that's why, you know, we're pouring champagne on each other at the end of the season because you know how hard it is to get there. It's such a grind.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You guys have figured it out.
So, Steph, you and I, we ain't in this.
It's all good. We're just going ahead.
It's like, so, you know, these two great defenders, right? You know, because you both get like the toughest assignments every single night, right? And you know, so coming to the arena, coming to the game, like what's your mindset?
Man, whoever's in front of me, I'm just gonna make it incredibly difficult on them to score, whether it's a big man or point guard. You know, I take pride in guarding whoever. I just have fun, you know, especially on the block. You know, big man, I always get we switch a lot in our defense, so I'll get a big man on me who thinks they can put me under the rim, but that's never the case. You know, I'm holding my ground. I just try to make it tough on them, make them shoot over me. Because at the end of the day, I do have like a 6'10" wingspan, so I can just be big down there. And same with point guards too, you know, especially back early in my career, they think they can get around me quick, but I thought I moved my feet pretty well, so you're gonna have to, you know, get some space from me and get a shot off me. Kyrie, I always think about the times we had going against him in Cleveland. He actually reminds me a lot of your game.
Oh, he's tricky. He's tricky with that ball.
He's tricky.
Yeah.
See, the reason why, oh man, the reason why Thompson even had mentioned that is because the handles. Isiah Thomas, his handles are crazy, but he kind of dribbles like in an old school way, but his handles are really tight and he keeps the ball low to the ground. Kyrie has that kind of playground handles, but he keeps the ball low to the ground at the same time. Isiah Thomas is not carrying the ball as much, but just the quickness and just the quick crossover and the leg movement, it's just as crazy.
He can go, he's slippery too, he can go either way, finish either hand, so I have fun guarding him for many series, and it's just...
What do you mean you have fun guarding him?
Because it's like a challenge.
See, this is something Steph and I can't understand, like how y'all think, like, oh, I have fun guarding him. Me and Steph like, no, we don't want to guard him.
When you look at the scouting report, you see who your matchup is, and some nights you're like, oh, I got a night off. But then when you see him, you're like, oh, no, I don't got to get my rest tonight, so I got to be ready for this. I think Joe would think the same thing. You know, there's some guys you be like, okay, I can relax a little more tonight, but you're like, nah, not with him.
With me, you know, when you're talking about Jordan earlier, and some nights he'd have 38. With truly, truly great players, if you're a great defender, you don't really worry about what their point total is at the end of the night. If he got 35 and he was 11 for 30, I had a good night defensively. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if he was 16 for 19 from the field, I got torched.
Yeah.
So I always look at field goal percentage versus field goals made to determine, did I play good defense tonight or not? Because a guy can have 40, man, but if he shot 38 times and he's 11 for 38. You did a good job.
Oh, yeah.
You know, guys shot 40 times.
Yeah.
The toughest guys for me, Klay,
But
was
how do y'all stay that disciplined, though? To not want to look at that scoreboard and say, that guy got 38, or I got to work a little harder, I got to do something. I mean, how do y'all stay that discipline in terms
because
of
you know
technique?
you made him miss 4 shots in a row, and he hit that 5th one, and now he has 28, and I'm thinking...
But that 5th one, everybody going crazy, you know, and really, and you and I never talked about this, but like, how do you, it's like Jordan would dunk, and he would dunk it so hard, and sometimes I would look at you and be like, you all right?
Yo, I understand what Isiah Thomas is talking about. It's just the mood it puts you in. But then, like how Thompson and Dumars had mentioned, when a guy puts up crazy numbers, but yet he's attempted almost 40 shots, it almost eliminates that. That's the same issue we see with Russell Westbrook. Yeah, he's getting 40 points, but the guy attempted like 32 shots. So he really was defended pretty much well that whole night.
You know, but you would just still be like locked in.
I vowed to myself, no matter how spectacular he was, I was never going to show any emotion.
Yeah.
Zero. I'm not dapping you up with my, oh my God, no, none of that. So I'm going to stay right here. But in my mind, I was saying, damn, did you see that? In my mind, I was saying that. But my face was like, nah.
He's got that too. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Nah,
there's no, you don't see the feet of and he knows he gonna get on the other end too. So.
But still, we've been sitting here, and the one time that he picked up here just now is when you start talking about defense. He said, yeah, big guys trying to get me on the block. None of that. Little guys. I can see, and that's what great defense is.
Yeah.
The fact that his pride was, nah, not here. Right. Not here. And so that's what I always tell people. I don't know how to tell you how to slide and move your, but if you got whatever he just showed right there, yeah, that's what, for me it was the small guys. Mark Price, Kevin Johnson. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Those little dudes just so tricky, slick. You know, like for you, it's Kyrie, right? So he's,
Isiah Thomas.
you know, that's what I'm saying. These little guys, man, you know, your size, they're just, well, not your size, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
do y'all ever like be in the game and y'all like, you know, look at each other like, damn, that was a sweet move. Like we was playing Portland, and I remember Clyde Drexler, I was under the basket. He was coming down on the fast break, and I'm backpedaling. So I'm gonna stop and take the charge, right? Remember this? And so I stopped to take the charge, and this dude jumped. And then he tucked his legs up. Boom! And so I'm taking it out of bounds, and I said, Joe, did he do that? Remember that?
Yeah.
I said, did he just jump over my head? Do y'all have like little conversations like that in the game?
On the bench,
Where
we definitely do. Yeah. On the bench, all vets, we support each other, encourage each other. You know, again, you're not gonna please everybody. It's gonna be a situation where something you say might come under scrutiny, might come under fire, but you're gonna help a lot more people than you hurt. And I think that's something that we all respect for sure. You could do a whole show on how the good that all the guys in the league right now are doing.
and we're going to
help.
That's one of my missions is to do a whole show on the good that all of you do. You know, because the collective impact, and I've studied it, when you really put it on paper in terms of everything that y'all doing in your different little pockets here, when you put it together collectively, it's like,
oh, that's impressive.
It's more than impressive. It may be, from a generational standpoint, the most any league players collectively have done, you know, with their platforms. You know, we've had a lot of great moments together, and I'll ask you to, what is your greatest combined moment that, you know, comes to mind right away as you see it there?
I'm gonna cheat. I got 2 answers that I'm gonna go before you know, put you in the spot. I mean, obviously winning 3 championships is something that's not, it's a collective moment, but it's something that we want to continue to add to. We're still in the fight in the middle of it,
But before Stephen Curry answers this, I would say him beating CP3 and James Harden in that 2019 playoff series without KD. The way they were celebrating, oh man, you would think they won the championship. That was kind of like, you know, in your face CP3. don't talk no shit. Because at the time, they had to hear about how CP3 the year before was injured and that they would have eliminated the Warriors and what if and this, that, and the third. But then at the end of the day, Curry and Thompson, when they had to go mano-a-mano versus Harden and CP3 after KD went down, it pretty much showed that they were on a completely different level than those two.
When it's all said and done, that's the part that, again, you'll cherish the most, and how you went about doing it and experiences you had. On a less serious note, the fact that he has 14 threes in a game and I have 13, like, we got to 1 and 2 in that record.
For the record, everyone's aware of it. Noah has made 13 threes in a game.
That's crazy to think about. Two teammates, who love to shoot the basketball, do it at a high level.
For NBA history, you got it. 14 threes in a game.
And Thompson in that game barely took any dribbles. That's crazy. He made all those threes, barely even getting a dribble off.
It's crazy. So to be there, obviously, when I did it the first time, and to witness when he did it, and he broke my record, and now it's 14. Like, it's crazy where basketball is now, but in terms of us trying to be pioneers in that front, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite moments is probably the back-to-back three-point contest we did.
That was good, too.
He smacked me the first year. I came back with vengeance the second year. Took control of it. That was just fun because I don't know when the last time that happened in the history of the All-Star Game festivities to have two teammates compete in the championship. So that was a really unique situation. And it's the first time we really got to compete against each other on a national stage. That's never happened. I don't know if it'll happen again, but that was just a fun weekend. It was just cool seeing us both out there, same team, just out there knocking down threes. Obviously, the 3 championships are amazing in itself, and the record Steph was talking about. And another record is crazy is we both share the same record for most threes in a playoff run. I think it's 98. So whoever wants to get 99 from each run, let's see. But that's just very unique in itself. And I think Jim Barnett's once said a few years ago that we'll own every three-point record in the books when it's all said and done. And that's pretty cool hearing from a guy who's been around the NBA for shoot, how long has Jim been doing it? Yeah, since forever, since the 60s, 70s. So.
Well, I got one three-point record Giant World.
Really?
What's that?
The highest three-point field goal percentage in the championship series.
That's pretty good.
That's real
That's
good.
good. Was it like
What'd
the
you shoot?
670s?
That was against Portland.
What'd you shoot?
I don't know.
Probably over 50 something.
No, it was in the 60s.
Yeah.
It might have been 70s.
How many did you take? Like 8?
No.
That is slightly shady, that one man like that.
Actually,
6 for 8.
I think I had 18 or 19 in the Portland series.
That's really
Yeah, IT, man, he's a cold motherfucker, man. Some of you guys just look back in the 1988 NBA Finals Game 6 when IT had that ankle injury and he could no longer blow past guys. He started just shooting, and this guy was deadly from the field, finishing with 43 points, 8 assists. That's just some stone cold shit.
Go check it out.
But
But y'all break it, I'm sure.
I don't know, that's tough.
What's y'all's answer
60%?
on that?
I would say, for me, I think, I don't know if anybody's ever done it, but I think we're the only backcourt, maybe, back-to-back MVPs of the finals.
Oh,
That's
Haven't
true.
done that.
yeah.
Me either, man. It's all good.
Stephen Curry, no, man. He was trying to get that MVP in 2018. He was crying after that Game 6 because he knew Kevin Durant pretty much sealed that MVP trophy.
That's a good one.
I don't know if any other backcourt has done it,
And just keep this in mind about Dumars and Isiah Thomas. They were doing what they were doing back in the day when the game was a lot slower. The pace was a lot slower. Some teams were even finishing games with only 78 points, 69 points to 73 would be final scores. And these guys were just playing this fast-paced game back then. So once again, they were doing their thing in a big man era where most teams were just throwing it down low in the post and slowing the game down.
I thought that was pretty cool, the championships and have a backcourt, though.
That's big time.
MVPs of the finals.
Yeah, that's big time.
I've had 2 moments with Joe that that are you know, they're kind of high and low at the same time. And I hope this don't, you know, upset you, but I think you know where I'm going. When we were in the finals, and your dad had passed away, and Joe's coming down the middle of the lane, and he shoots a ball, and literally it goes to the ceiling. I mean, it goes to the top. And you know, we always look at each other, and he looks at me, and he goes.
1 second on the shot clock. Dumars, arcing shot, makes it. Boy, those are killers.
And I'm thinking in my mind, you know, Pops was helping you on that one. You know?
Yeah, the reason why Isiah Thomas is saying that, because at the time, Joe Dumars, he did not know his father passed away. His whole team did know. They were notified, but they kept it from Joe because I believe his family said, you know, his father would want him to focus on the game. So he pretty much found out after the game that his father had passed away. And that's the story behind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the moments that always come to mind when we, you know, when I think. And the other thing, you know, believe it or not, was watching you in the NBA Finals win that MVP against the Lakers, and how happy I was for you because you were shining. I mean, I was really happy for you seeing that and watching you, like, you know, just get off like that. And then seeing you run off the court saying, I'm going to Disney World. You know what I mean? So those are, when I think of, you know, two moments that we shared together, me seeing you, like, you know, at your zenith, you know, and those were my moments for you.
That's kind of the genius behind both of these duos, is that when they see the other person going in, they just got the stroke, everything's going right for them. They're not afraid to take a step back and just let the other guy do them.
So there are many people who can come through the NBA and leave their mark and say, you changed the game. And I think as a backcourt, as a small backcourt, we can honestly say we changed the game. And I think what you guys are doing, I'm seeing little kids practicing shooting from half court and hash mark. I mean, the impact that you guys have had on the game has been, you know, magnificent. So, you know.
Yeah, 100%. They changed the game even in ways LeBron didn't even change his game. They kind of changed the game the way Jordan did. Jordan kind of led teams as a shooting guard in a big man era to championships. Then you saw after him, a lot of teams started trying to draft shooting guards, and they would have most of their plays designed for their shooting guards to take most of the shots. When before, the game plan was pretty much to get a star center, throw him the ball down low, and kind of build around him. With these guys, they definitely changed the game because they even got young kids just practicing from a young age, shooting threes from long distance. And by the time they go through high school, AAU, college, and get into the NBA, you see them just making these shots like layups. So they pretty much changed the game, and they even got certified stars like LeBron James to develop his three-point shot. So that shows you the impact of these guys.
That's one thing that you'll always have.
Absolutely.
You know, so thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you.
Good stuff.
You know,
Good stuff.
That Finals MVP thing might be in safekeeping for competition.
Yo, Klay ain't lying about that. So it is what it is. It's very interesting. These guys are doing these interviews right now before they even retire. And as far as Isiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, they should be getting more praise for ushering in a new style of basketball outside of that bad boys, you know, dirty defensive play reputation that they had in the mid 80s. Because with them, they showed the possibility of a new style of small ball, especially in a big man era. And this is before Jordan started winning championships as the main piece at the guard level. So it is what it is. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Peace.